Sharon Salzberg.
Hello. Take a seat. Yeah, thanks.
Krishna Das. Jeremy Frindel. And David Nichtern.
Ram Ram.
Ram Ram.
How about for Jeremy?
Yeah. So great. It's great.
Yes. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you. Thanks.
But before we start, I just want to mention that we are being recorded tonight by Sirius XM for a later broadcast on Krishna Das Radio. And they can edit that out when they...
So if anyone wants to be heard, you can yell out now.
I'm going to start with one quick question to each of our guests here, and then I'll throw it out to you guys to ask questions. Jeremy, I'm going to start with you. Thank you for the film. It was beautiful, and I have to say, I love the choices you made from editing the interviews, the music, and voiceover and stills. Everything came together so beautifully, and it was your first documentary, so congratulations again. Now, I know you worked on other films in the past in other capacities, sound or editing, etc., and you did make a short film prior to this, but it was your first major, personal effort. I wanted to ask you, how did it come about? Did you go to Krishna Das and his people, if you have people, Katie, I don't know, or did his people come to you to ask about making the film, and how did that all come about?
I approached them. I was a big fan. I'd been very moved by listening to him sing and singing with him and hearing him talk about his life, and felt like the film needed to be made, and I decided to just kind of throw it out there and see if maybe they'd let me do it.
What did I tell you?
You eventually said yes pretty quick, but you just told me that if you're talking shit about other people, that I have to cut that out of the film, and everything else is fine.
I told him he was out of his mind. It was the first thing I said to him. Then I said, listen, I don't care. It's okay. We'll do it. But I have a big mouth, so please cut out all the parts of me bad-mouthing everybody else in the world. And he agreed, so I said, all right, what can I do?
So there's a director's cut somewhere, right?
DVD extra.
I'm blackmailing him with that footage right now. And the other big part of this that made that happen was I came to talk to a friend and asked if he would be crazy enough to give me money to do this. And he's the craziest, I think. Andrew Jones, there's no way I could have ever done this without you, so thank you so much.
There'll be no big risk in the end, I'm sure. KD, this was thank you for opening up your life to Jeremy and the camera and ultimately the audiences. I'm sure it was, I would like to ask you, what was that like for you to revisit everything and then come and see the film yourself with an audience finally? It was cathartic for me, and it wasn't my story, so what was it? how was that for you?
I wish I could be like that guy.
You're similar. There's some
Some
similarities.
similarity.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Shirt.
clothes.
I think it's the shirt. Really, this is my life. This, as most of you know me, there's just not much else going on. I sleep, eat, and sing, and watch a little TV sometimes. That's about it. And my guru was someone who gave everything away for free. And people brought everything to him, their happiness, their unhappiness, everything. He could give everything. And so he gave me life. And the only way I can keep connected to him is to keep singing with people. That's what I do. And I've always said this, nobody seems to believe me. You know, people say, "Oh, you're so humble," and I say, "I know me. You don't know me." So this is what I have to do to save my own miserable ass. And so I keep singing. And even though I know people get a lot out of it, that's very rewarding, and I'm very happy. But it's the chanting itself that keeps me alive, and it's the sharing of all the stuff that we go through in order to keep our hearts open that I enjoy most. So, I wish, it'd be nice to get better at it. That's all I can do.
And David, move on to you. You're a composer, musician, and a Buddhist practitioner. You follow Tibetan Buddhism, and you teach this. You've co-founded the Shambhala Center in Los Angeles. And you perform with Katie. I know you're performing later this month in Massachusetts, and next month, I think, in New York. So you're following Tibetan Buddhism. Katie's following more of the Hindu theology. How did you guys meet? And how did you get along, and to the point where you're performing now?
I like to say that I'm the token Buddhist in the group, and he's the closet Buddhist. So, we met at a screening of Fierce Grace through Steve Gorn, who a lot of people know, I'm sure, who I had a band with called Drala, and Steve used to play with KD. So I would say, how long? That might have been 10 years ago or something like that already at this point. And what happened? Just evolved.
David's wife at the time, Cindy Lee, had a yoga center, and she used to send people to ask me to come sing at her center, but she wanted me to sing Buddhist chants. And at the time, I wasn't really doing that, and so I just go like, what is it with her, So I'm standing around with Steve and a friend of his, and Cindy walks by, and I say, "You see that? See Cindy? That's Cindy Lee. She wants me to come to her center and sing Buddhist chants. Can you believe that?" And this guy goes, "Hey, Sin, come on over." And I went, "This is my wife, Cindy." Hello. So we became best friends. What else? Right?
But I had a vision pretty early on when I started playing with KD of, which really flowered in the song that you heard at the end of the movie, which is on the album Heart as Wide as the World, which I produced for KD, and the title came from Sharon. And the vision was that his story is so compelling when he talks, to mix that in with the chanting somehow, if we could. So you notice that song was in English, very strange language that most of us in the room speak, and I wanted him to tell his story mixed in with the story would be the verse of the song, and then the hooks would be the chants. So I'm happy to say that we kind of, when I heard that, I don't know how you felt, I felt really good when I heard that last track.
It happened.
Sounded good. So, and I think the rest of it is we're just two old Jewish guys from New York hanging out, and we know all the same TV shows and the same stuff. It doesn't really matter in the rest of it, actually, at all.
That's great. Sharon, I'm going to ask you also how you got to be part of this crowd. But first, before you answer that, I was kind of curious. The similarity between, well, when I've gone to kirtans and participated, the feeling I get is sort of similar to what I would imagine meditating, having a good meditation practice would be. Because, I'm sorry, Sharon Salzberg is co-founder of Insight Meditation Studio and Center, and she's written many books on mindfulness meditation and loving kindness meditation. So she's our guru there. Does it produce the same sort of effect? Chanting, singing, meditating. It to me, it kind of does, but I don't have a very strong meditation practice. So.
Could be. Actually, first I want to congratulate Jeremy again, because I think devotion of all qualities is maybe one of the hardest to convey. So purely and deeply, it can seem so if misconstrued, it can seem so mawkish and sentimental and kind of off. And I think you just did a beautiful job because it. And I think that I thought I was the token Buddhist in the crowd. Wait a minute.
But your bass playing hasn't developed yet.
No, my bass
I want
playing
Sharon
is
to
really
play bass
undeveloped.
in the band, don't you think?
But I'm part of the band. I think in many ways, of course, it's like the free heart is the free heart, and the open heart is the open heart. And so whatever method or means or process, it doesn't really matter. I think one of the things I've also appreciated tremendously about Krishna Das is watching the evolution of that understanding, because I think with some ways of being, some methods, it's very easy to kind of get a rush and be very excited and to land that somewhere deeper in terms of service to others and connection to others and love of oneself beyond just that immediate rush is also it's a journey, and so I've admired that tremendously as that has happened. I want to know if that video of the fire puja was real. Did you really do that? Or did he Photoshop that?
I guess not.
My Photoshop
Not
skills aren't
working
that
today.
good.
Not good.
That was incredible. I met Krishna Das in January of 1971 in Bodh Gaya, India, at my very first meditation retreat. Bodh Gaya is the town that's grown up around the tree the Buddha was said to have been sitting under when he became enlightened. So it's a very sacred place in India. And I arrived in large measure because of Dan Goleman, who I'd heard giving a talk in New Delhi, and he said he was on his way to this intensive 10-day retreat. So I went too, along with many other people. And Krishna Das was already there, so he was like one of the old hands, one of the experienced people.
Yeah, but I spent the 80s watching TV while she was meditating.
Thanks. Okay. I just watched TV in the 80s and 90s. Okay. We're going to bring it out to you guys and let you ask some questions. I will repeat the question after I hopefully hear you say it so we can get it recorded. So let's see. Who would like to start? Who has a question for one of our people? Yes, ma'am, right here.
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much. First, I'm going to say that this was so sold out.
Wait, I'm sorry. I don't have to repeat the question. We have handheld mics. Thank you.
First, I'm going to say this was so.
The mic is not turned on.
May I just ask? Okay. First, this is so sold out. I'm very grateful to be here, and this is wonderful. I really do want to ask this question. LSD was brought up, and I'm wondering, what are your thoughts as far as LSD for people today, especially because it's becoming more popular, and myself, about 40 years ago, I was the one who was a designated talk people down because I never dropped acid.
So what are your thoughts about LSD for people today, especially it's becoming more popular? Okay.
I think I took too much to have any thoughts. Well, it's certainly not necessary for anything. But Maharaji did say that taking acid brings you into the room with Christ. But you can't stay. The only way you can stay is love. So he saw it as a way of cracking through some of the habitual thinking and closed-heartedness of Westerners in general, I think. And he didn't recommend it, of course, but he didn't put it down completely either. Personally, I haven't taken any acid in a long time. Like 20, 30 years, I can't remember. Actually, I think in India, it's 3 or 2, I took my last hit. And it's lasted quite a while. But, it's illegal. So if you do it, you know you're doing something illegal and you have to be careful. So it creates some paranoia in your head also. You're not really free to do it. So I think anything that a person feels will help them on the path, if they really believe it's going to help them, they should go for it. Nobody can tell you what to feel. You have to find it yourself. And I hit so many walls on my way, and I'm sure there's still a lot of walls to hit. But nobody can, you have to do it yourself. You have to find your own way. And it takes a lot of courage to do things or not do things that your heart tells you. And I think the most important thing is listening to your heart about everything. So.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, please.
Hi, I'd like to say thank you to all of you. This was such a treat for me. I found out at the last minute and just walked right in, so it was wonderful. My question is for Jeremy. How long did it take you to make the film? And you mentioned earlier how you were a fan. How did going through this process and Krishna Das being so generous with sharing his journey change you?
Jeremy, how long did it take you to make the film, and how did this process with working with, you're a fan of Krishna Das's, how did that change you?
It was about 3 years from start to finish, and the whole thing felt like a pilgrimage for me. It was, it's hard to remember the person I was when I started, becoming so enmeshed in Krishna Das's world and his stories of his guru, and going to India, and not just Krishna Das, but the whole community of people that surround him. I think one of the most surprising things for me is I started to dig in, trying to figure out what the story was, and what I was doing was how many just incredible people were in India with Krishna Das, with Maharaji. It just blew my mind, and started shifting the possibilities of what I thought was possible in life. And one of the complicated things in the film was trying to figure out how all of that came together, because there were so many amazing stories. I would just sit down with all of these different devotees, many of whom didn't end up in the film, and the stories they would tell about their time with Maharaji and being in India, and stories about Krishna Das's life. And it was very transformative for me. I feel I wouldn't even really know how to describe it, but it's opened me in so many ways that it really feels like a pilgrimage, the whole process.
Okay. Who else is out there who would like to ask a question? There's someone oh yes, I'm sorry, way in the back there. Yes, sir.
I was struck about the similarities between chanting and rock and roll. Do you think that chanting is a form of rock and roll is a form of chanting?
Do you think that chanting is a form of rock and roll, or rock and roll is a form of chanting?
I remember when Yoga Journal wanted to interview me. And nobody ever wanted to talk to me about anything. And all of a sudden, the Yoga Journal wanted to interview me. So this guy takes me out for a very greasy Chinese meal. It's terrible. And he's asking me questions. And he asked me, so talk to me about chanting as a spiritual practice. And I remember going, oh, wow. I never thought of it that way. I wasn't kidding. I never thought of it that way. I said, I don't know what to tell you, And he said, well, how do you sing? And I said, well, I remember when I was 16 and I got my learner's permit to drive, And you could drive between the hours of like 4 and 6 at night or something like that. And, and so I remember when my mother gave me the keys to the car, and I started the car and I'm driving to see my girlfriend, And I'm driving along like this, and this is so great. And I turned the radio on, and our song came on, you know? And the way I sang that song at that moment, that's how I chant. And the only difference between, you see, the thing is, it's the subject matter. It's the fact that rock and roll and popular music deals in conceptual mind, thoughts, thought forms. How many times can you sing, "Oh, my baby left me, I feel so bad"? How many, you know, you sing that 1,000,000 times, you turn to it, you have a nervous breakdown. The difference with chanting is that these mantras, these names, open up, open in. They don't close you down. They don't hold you in thought or emotion. They take you deeper than anything you can think or feel with the mind or the emotions. They take you into your true heart, into your true being. So it's not the form of the music. You know, the music is if a kid is sick, a baby's sick, you want him to take medicine. So you put it in, you hide the medicine in a sweet syrup, right? So the music is the syrup. We like that. It makes us feel good. It's sweet. But the medicine is the name. The medicine is what cures us of our illness. And the name is what frees us of our suffering over time. And the name is what will free us. My guru said, Maharaji said, from repeating these names, from singing these names, everything is brought to completion. Everything is fulfilled. Everything is brought to fullness. So this is what he said. And, you know, I might actually believe him someday. And I'm working on it.
David, is there anything you'd like to add?
I wanted to add just one strand to that, which is that coming at it, you know, KD is the protector of the essence and internal meaning of what he's presenting, but as a record producer and coming at it and just listening to the music, my feeling was that KD is a yellow tomato. He's a true hybrid. Because if you come to sound check or you drive on the road with us, well, you're a pink tomato then or whatever, but you know, he listens to rock and roll, and the gentleman who asked the question, he's deep into the culture of our American music, and also the kind, even though he's saying the kind of stories it tells are maybe more superficial in some sense, they're still part of the big, what did you talk about, Maharaji? The big tent. All those feelings, all those storylines are part of the big tent. And to bring all of that out, if you hang out with this guy, which I think a lot of you have, you know, he's not like a love and light, pure kind of dude. He's in the real world. And so the rock and roll is a serious root of this music. The last record we did up in Woodstock, New York, and kidding around, we called it Kirtan from Big Pink. You know, it was done with some great musicians, and I think he likes that. He appreciates the syrup is, you know, multi-dimensional syrup in addition to the chanting. For him, I mean, so that had to come out with the music is not just an incidental thing. It's actually a vehicle, I think, for a lot of people to enter into the bhav of it. The music's very important, but maybe that's just my trip.
I go with that.
Okay. Hands. In the red, yes. Katie, was there an aha or a realization moment in how that film came together?
You're Katie. No, she was asking you if watching your life on screen
Yes,
made you
your,
reflect
You're
on
asking me.
your
you were
life, your
talking to him.
movie.
You're KD.
Aha. I got him. I knew I'd get him. It just takes a moment. You know, listen, I got to tell you, I just feel like the luckiest guy in the world. as one of my earliest gurus said, if you live, your time will come. That was Mose Allison. And I've managed to stay alive, and all this good stuff is coming to me, and my job is to keep singing and not get caught in any of the hoopla. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank you all, and very especially, there's like a group of people who actually put up with my abuse on a regular basis. And I want to thank Nina Rao and my and my good buddy Bub. And my daughter Janaki. Yeah. And just so many people, you're all like beautiful beads on the mala of my life, and I can't thank you all enough. And I'm honored that every night when I sit down, or whenever I sit down to sing with people, it's just a blessing for me. So I just want to thank you all for that, and I appreciate it.
Jeremy, I'm worried because I don't think you're going to get another subject like this one. I don't know how you're going to top it. What do you want to do going forward with your filmmaking career?
Well, I really debated whether I was going to tell him I would ever finish the film so that I could just keep going over to his house and
You make
hanging
a
out and
sequel.
asking questions and hanging out on the bus. And
Part two is what actually happened in the bus.
There's a few ideas I'm sort of kicking around right now. Another documentary, couple documentaries, and then some scripts that I've been daring that I would write someday. There's one thing in particular right now about these two monks from Burma that
Sounds like a joke. 2 monks from
they
Burma.
walked into a bar, and
And they live in Brooklyn.
through Sharon, I came to know about these guys. One of them was one of the main people that led the revolution in 2007, where the monks came to protect the people, and it was this giant uprising in Burma that had never really happened like that before. And then the military cracked down, and they all got beaten and put in jail. And the guy that really sparked it and led the thing escaped to Brooklyn, of all places. So they're living here now, raising awareness and trying to help free some of the monks that are still in prison there, and a lot of the, just terrible oppression that's still happening there. So I might hang out with them a little bit and help tell their story and raise, it's just such a fascinating life that these guys have had, and the struggle and the courage that they have to keep doing what they're doing. So I'm very drawn to that. And then there's a couple other ideas too.
Great.
It's them or Lady Gaga. No. Tough choice.
Yes, right here.
When parents have problem children, the first thing they say very often is, "What did we do wrong? We gave him or her everything. What did we do wrong?" How would you answer parents today like that? What did your parents
I mean, what did I say to my mother? She said when parents have difficult children, they often ask themselves, what did I do wrong? And then you're asking me, what would I say?
Right, because, as a teenager, obviously, something forced you into those periods
Yeah.
of addiction and self-destruction.
My parents were a bundle of fun. No, really my parents were great. And there were difficulties in the relationships over the years, but even there were difficulties on the outside, somehow they infused me with the confidence or the understanding that I had to follow my own heart and follow my own path, regardless of what anybody said. And that's why I'm still here. So, I don't know. this is, I just think everybody has to find their own way. Just one more thing, when I was thanking people, on the musical side of thanks, my tabla player, Arjun, had played with me now for the last 5 years, and Archit, road manager and sound guy. I wouldn't be able to get out of bed with the morning without these people, these days. I need so much help just to do the stuff I have to do in order to keep singing. It's just a blessing to have them around, really extraordinary. Oh, and there's my grandson, Bodhi. Hi, Bodhi. He's going to be a drummer, so watch out.
All right, we have time for one or two more. In the back corner.
Going forward, Katie, is there anything you would still like to achieve or anything you would like to do in the next few years?
In the next how many years? What's the time limit? I just want to keep chanting. I can't think about anything else, really. I just want to be able to keep chanting because that's the best thing I can do for myself and for anyone else. Whatever happens around that, let it happen. But that's what I'd like to do.
Is there any place you'd like to chant that you haven't chanted? CC or...
We've been a lot of places. More people came to sing with me in Moscow than in New York City. Yeah. More people. Moscow? First time I ever went there. Unbelievable. It's extraordinary. Wherever they, I've only invited myself 2 places. First place was Jiva Mukti. And the second place was Yoga Works in LA because I'd been invited to San Francisco to come sing. And I thought, well, I'm out there. Let me see what's happening in LA. So I called a friend of mine who was a yoga teacher there. And I said, do you think we could sing there? From those 2 times, everything's happened. It's all by invitation. Isn't that incredible? We don't have a, what do you call it? Somebody who promotes you.
Agent.
An agent. Nina, my assistant, we just deal with invitations. We could be singing every night somewhere in some city in the world, 365 days a year. It's just extraordinary. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how any of this happened. People like to come, they come up to me and they say, I want to share my kirtan, my chanting with the world. I said, good luck. Good. They said, well, how do you do it? I said, I don't know. They don't believe me. But I'm telling you, I don't know how any of this happened. Really.
And he works harder than anyone. I could not keep up with him. I was doing a fraction of the touring with him, and I would come home and I'd be wiped out for like a week, and he just doesn't stop. He's 10 months out of the year on the road, just traveling, singing. It's quite remarkable.
Okay, let's take one more question. Yes.
What the music does for me is it opens that tender place in my heart. And I guess sort of directed towards Sharon and or Katie, what else? How else can we keep the gunk away to keep that tender place open and growing?
Or what else can she do to keep her heart open and the gunk away?
Well, one of the things I always say, because I see the way I use language, and of course here the way a lot of people use language, is that I don't think we can keep anything, and I don't think we can keep the gunk away, and I don't think we can preserve or hold, but the miracle is that we can renew, we can return, and that whatever happens, that actually nothing's lost, nothing's ruined, it's not broken. And so part of what we grow in is that confidence and that trust, wow, I can come back here, or I can revitalize this, and I think what we also do is not take those places as kind of personal in a way. It's like we realize that's a source of the energy with which we can connect to others and care for others. And it's my favorite quotation of Krishna Das is quoting Maharaji, you know, how do I get to God, you know, and it's like serve people, feed people, be with people in that way. So
David, did you have anything you want to add to that?
How did
All right, let's leave you, I'd like to leave you with this poem. Many of you might know this, but it's a Rumi poem. One night a man was crying, Allah, Allah. His lips grew sweet with the praising, until a cynic said, so, I've heard you calling out, but have you ever gotten any response? The man had no answer to that. He quit praying and fell into a confused sleep. He dreamed he saw the guide of souls in a thick green foliage. Why did you stop praising? Because I've never heard anything back. This longing you express is the return message. The grief you cry out from draws you towards union. Your pure sadness that wants to help is the secret cup. Listen to the moan of a dog for its master. That whining is the connection. There are love dogs no one knows the names of. Give your life to be one of them. Give your life. Namaste.
namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. And thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you very much, Isa, for having us bring the film here. It's a real honor.